named after a friend of mine in Texas, Suzanne McDaniel. And this award is named in honor of Suzanne McDaniel, one of the first prosecutor-based victim advocates in Texas and in the nation, who created the Harris County, that's Houston, first community council on sexual assault and family violence, and the first rape exam protocol for the Houston Hospital and Medical Associations in the Medical Center in Houston. Up until the time Suzanne McDaniel came around, we had no protocol, and that was back in the days when I was prosecuting, on what happened when a person was sexually assaulted and how the system medically treated that victim of a crime. And of course, from that, the sexual assault kit came, and now it's taken for granted, but there were days when that never did occur. Suzanne formed the Texas Crime Victim Clearinghouse, the first statewide resource in the nation, and helped draft and pass the Texas Crime Victims Bill of Rights, the Texas Crime Victims Compensation Act, and the Texas Constitutional Amendment to Crime Victims' Rights. And tonight, we're going to honor the Suzanne McDaniel Public Awareness Award to Jess Smoshak. Could you step up here, please? Come on. This is the award. Don't go anywhere. Like the Kennedy Award. You'll get to speak in just a minute. She took a terrible situation and instead of focusing on herself and her own trouble, advocated for change so that others were not treated as she was. What occurred to her, or what happened to her, was when she joined that wonderful group of ambassadors and angels that represent the United States in the United States Peace Corps. A volunteer, if you understand, to be in the Peace Corps. John F. Kennedy thought of that idea during his administration, and I personally think that's one of the greatest things this country has ever come up with, Peace Corps volunteers. And while she was a member of the Peace Corps, she became a victim on her tour of duty. And instead of being given aid and compassion by the Peace Corps hierarchy, she was treated quite poorly. She was blamed for the crime. Y'all heard of that before, and told to keep quiet about the situation. She soon realized that this was happening to other people in the Peace Corps, and she decided to confront the situation head on and stand up for victims and their families who were still here in the States. So along with other Peace Corps victims, Jess brought the problem to the forefront, both in the national media, and she has brought this issue to the United States Congress, being a victim while serving in the Peace Corps overseas to the crime of assault. And people are responding. She appeared on 2020 in a recent special bringing to the light the reality for Peace Corps volunteers who became victims while serving our nation. The Foreign Affairs Committee is holding a hearing next week or week after next on the Peace Corps. And it's going to be a 2-day hearing to find out from more victims like Jess what occurred while they were serving our nation, and a response from the federal government. And we look forward to bringing more attention to this matter. The Peace Corps is also an organization that is finally responding to the media attention that has been brought to this case because of Jess and because of others. They're in the process of hiring a victim's advocate. It surprises me that the Peace Corps does not have a victim's advocate already, but they will have one. And we'll make sure that they make the changes needed to ensure that victims are cared for future volunteers. So thanks to the courage and determination of Jess, the mistreatment of victims of violence, and the inadequate response from the Peace Corps, this has captured the nation, and it has gotten before Congress, and Congress will do something about it. The story of Jess's barbaric attack is heartbreaking, but the way she turned its evil into good and advocating on behalf of victims of violence is inspiring. So, I want to thank Jess for being here and congratulate her on having the courage to publicly stand up and fight for victims' rights. Thank you very much.
I'm deeply touched and truly honored to seems like few in the world believe in heroes anymore. As we grow up, we are taught that heroes belong to children, like fairy tales, Suzanne, Santa Claus. In the real world, no one goes around looking for people to save. Instead, we need to mind our own business and stand our own 2 feet. I came close to believing that once. As a Peace Corps volunteer in Bangladesh, I begged for protection from a group of men who had threatened me, but protection never came. Eventually they attacked me, and after enduring hours of torture, there came a point when I thought it would never end, and when I realized no one was there, and no one was going to save me. There were no heroes. But I know that now, despite what happened to me, I was wrong. There are heroes. There are men and women who look for people who need saving, who give them a voice, hope, and a protector. These men and women are those who help transform me from a victim to an advocate. There are people like Caucus and the producers of 2020 who brought attention to stories like mine and demanded change. They are the other survivors who tell their stories, knowing they're vulnerable to criticism, but knowing too that maybe their stories will help someone else. They are the amazing friends who stand beside us and don't leave us, even when they think we're too damaged or wounded, troublesome or inconvenient. They are the women who found the first response action, which I'm a part of, to help victims believe that change is possible if we only try for it. People like Dr. Doyle who show us kindness and compassion when we've forgotten how much we need them. And they are the men and women of the Victims' Rights Caucus. On the Victims' Rights Caucus, I also listen to the stories of victims who want to change the conditions that allow them to be hurt. We don't simply take for granted that the world is hard or cold. We endeavor to make it better. Some of you even now are working to strengthen the Peace Corps by making it safer for